Welcome to the One Hand at a Time podcast. I'm your host, Chris Welton, and today is a solo cast. It's been way too long since we've done one of these. So we are going to knock out a solo cast today, but it's a celebration. We're celebrating 1 year since I left the mortgage space and went all in with my own coaching business. Man, I sure have learned a lot in the last 12 months and just continue to learn every day. So I want to go over just some of the changes in my life since then. August 31st of last year, I left the mortgage space. I was ready to go do something different. I felt I was in a space that only about 10 to 15% of the people that I was working with actually wanted to grow and do better and be better. The rest kind of just wanted to check. And I think that's the norm. That's not me knocking anybody down or trying to belittle or anybody, but what it really comes down to is I wanted to have more impact on people that wanted to be impacted. See, most of the time, I believe what happens is we want to create impact and do all these amazing things for people, but most of the people don't want to change. They don't want to put in the work to do something different. They don't want to become great. Let me rephrase that. They want to be great. They just don't want to do what it takes to be great. So I had to figure out a way to change that, a way to do something different with my life so I could have more impact. And going all in and betting on Chris is something I've done in the past, and I've never regretted doing it. So here we go. Here's the year in review on what we've learned in the last 12 months and what has happened and has changed in my life. I'll probably get some of it a little bit out of order because, I get a little bit excited sometimes and drift a little bit. August 31st of last year was my last day. Hit the ground running right out of the gate in September. The only thing is my wife was pregnant at the time with our son, Leo, and there was some mild complications. So I spent that first 7 days in the hospital with her, literally the last day of work. Left work, went straight to the hospital. So got through that. He was great. Everything was good. We came home and it was time to go to work. The biggest change I think you have when you make a career change or you leave something you've been such a part of for so long is you realize that maybe your title and your role in the company define your self-worth. It's crazy to say that, but it's really true. I was a chief sales officer at the company and I was proud of that, right? Kind of beating my chest a little bit about being the chief sales officer. People would say, what do you do? Well, I'm chief sales officer. And what an honor to be called that or have that title or be put in that position. But I'd let it define how I felt about myself. So now here I am, a coach, and I'm no longer the chief sales officer. I'm no longer this person that appears to have this title that means so much. And the reality is I was the same person. I just had to figure out how to find value in myself and self-worth and what that looked like. So that was the first thing. I felt like I knew my identity was tied to the title I had previously. It was 1,000%. As I would go change the LinkedIn profile and change my profile on social media, just different outlets, and put in coach, which later I decided performance coach was what I really was instead of it being a whole life or life coach or whatever that was. But performance coach is really what I had dialed in and what my identity was going to be now. But it was a scary place. Honestly, you start falling into that trap of what are people saying? What do people think? Chris is no longer this person or that person. I was still the same person, but my brain was a little foggy about the title situation and I had to work through that. That was the first hurdle or obstacle. The second one was a hurdle and obstacle, but also a blessing. My phone stopped ringing. Not because I had the ringer off or not because I just turned the phone off or had the phone disconnected or the phone was broken. It literally stopped ringing. See, I was the go-to for a lot of problems at the last company I was at, and my phone would ring all the time. Now, a lot of that was because I enabled people and I would solve their problems instead of having them solve themselves. And some of the stuff I've learned from Dan Martell in the last 12 months has helped me coach my clients to not be in the same situation that Chris was. But that was the next part. And my coach, Adam, at the time had told me that be prepared for this because he had done a similar move at one point. I was like, oh, my phone will still ring. People are still going to need me. people are still going to want to talk to me. And that wasn't the case. So a few weeks of that, it took a few weeks to get used to it. Now here's the good and the upside of that. I wasn't interrupted at dinners anymore. I didn't have to take my phone inside a restaurant. I could literally set my phone down for a couple hours and not look at it. Once I got past the withdrawal of that, it was an amazing feeling. Then about 6 to 7 weeks in, I realized that if I'm going to be successful in the coaching space, it's 100% up to me. Nobody else, no other coach, no other game plan, no other blueprint. Anything else I did was 100% up to me. I had to put in the effort continuously every day to build it. And as someone who suffers from some mental health issues with depression and anxiety, that's a lot of pressure sometimes. But I learned how to start dealing with it. I came up with a strategy called the undefeated morning, where I wouldn't touch my phone until I'd done a list of things in the morning. And it helped me start winning in the morning and creating massive momentum. There's nothing like having a couple wins in the morning and taking off and winning the rest of the day. So it was something I had to implement. I implemented that about 2 months in. But every day, there's still a challenge. Somebody asked me the other day, "Hey, how's business?" I said, "It's challenging." "Oh, what, are things bad?" "No, they're not bad. I'm doing what I would consider better than I thought I was going to do. But it's still challenging to reach out every day to track business, to keep up with social media, to be coached by my coach, to be in the right masterminds, to learn all the time and constantly try to become a better version of myself so I can help my clients do the same." The next thing that was crazy to me that I didn't realize was, man, I was burning a lot more calories when I was in the office. And that sounds crazy, but it's true. I'd walk up a flight of stairs 3 or 4 times a day. I stood at my desk most of the time. And here I am recording this sitting down, which is what I've been doing most of the time. You don't realize how many calories that burns. Like a ton. I work from home, my home office. My refrigerator is about 50 feet away from me. So I have access to that. And I've had to really dial that in to make sure I don't swell up in like middle school Chris. The other part is you realize you have more time to do the things you want to do. No one else is controlling my time now. It's 100% my time to control. Look, I learned some valuable lessons working for other people along the way and in partnerships and everything else. And it gave me the tools that I needed to be in the position I am right now. But man, I can never go back to that. The freedom that I have right now to come in here, record this podcast, and not worry about letting someone down that needs my help. That's a big deal. The freedom of my son being on the other end of the house 3 days a week. My wife's at work with the nanny, and I can go play with Leo during the day. So December of last year, Leo was born, December 12th, healthy baby boy. He's amazing. He's 8, almost 9 months old now. I thought I would take 3 or 4 weeks off, honestly. I was going to move my schedule around and take off a ton of time to spend with him right out of the gate. I took off the week he was born. And then I went back to work. Now, not 8 hours a day, not in an office, but in my office, in my house, with my coaching clients, trying to build something. But I still had the availability to go hang out with him whenever I want. What else I learned is a lot of times when you're in business, sometimes you think you have relationships with people that are serious, good relationships. And then when the business side's gone, those things change. So that's been interesting as well. And some of the stuff I learned about myself, that I put up with a lot of stuff for a long time that I would never, ever put up with again. So I was able to step back and look at these things and go, man, Chris, you learned a valuable lesson here, right? Share this lesson with your clients. Share with them the experiences you went through and the roles that you've been in, so they don't have the same issues happen with them. The next part is with the coaching space is I've learned a lot about slowing down and listening more, asking questions instead of giving statements on what I think need to be done with my clients. The difference between coaching and running a business is coaching, you need to help your people grow to get through to the next level, to guide them and lead them along the way. When you're running a business, you do a lot of the stuff for people. Out of fear, they'll leave. out of fear that we won't make any money, be profitable, out of fear they just can't get it done. So you jump in and do it. The coaching space is not that way. It's also the difference when someone pays you for your advice every month. Chances are they're going to take action and do the work. Then February of this year came. I released my book, One Jordan. Within 24 hours, it was a bestseller in 6 different categories on Amazon. I know it's crazy, right? It was amazing to see the number of people that got on about the book. I didn't know if anybody would buy the book at all. Honestly, besides a few friends. It's gotten some really great traction out there. Actually, the one day when the day it was on the Amazon bestseller list, it outsold Atomic Habits, which if you know what that book is, it's crazy that One Jordan outsold Atomic Habits. Here's the reason why I wrote the book, though. And a lot of people don't know this story. I've told it recently when I was on a conference call with some people, and I'm actually going to be giving a keynote about it later this year on why I wrote this book. I wanted to break the cycle. What I mean by the cycle is that I would do the same thing over and over again in different businesses, different careers, do well, leave, start something different. But I would get myself back in the same group of people, right? I needed to break that cycle and find a new circle to be in. I needed to raise the bar. I wanted to be in a room with people that were doing things I couldn't even dream or have a concept of doing yet, or even conceive was possible. So that's why I wrote One Jordan, was to be able to connect with people that were so far, I thought, out of my league, untouchable, and try to get into circles with them and conversations with them. And man, was I right. Look, it's not me trying to brag or anything else, but the things I've been able to accomplish by sending One Jordan and connecting with certain people and getting in rooms has been a catalyst for my business. When you send a message to somebody that you want to meet or have a conversation and it says best-selling author in your bio or in your signature line, people respond. The thing I didn't know would happen is people randomly coming up to me in places like airports. Had someone come up to me at a hotel recently and say, "Hey, I read your book, One Jordan." I even had a gentleman pull it out of his bag and ask me to sign it. I know that's crazy, right? Like to even think that. But that was February, and leading on all the way up through this year, the book has been really powerful to help me get meetings and meet people. I'm still doing the One Jordan strategy today. There's several One Jordans behind me on the wall right now that have been sent out. I'm waiting for responses. I have another pair of Jordans on the table. Shoe's going to go out tomorrow and see if we get a response from someone else, another circle I'm trying to get in and have a conversation with. The other thing I've noticed, though, is the amount of bandwidth it takes to be a coach. Some days it's really exhausting. And that's what I signed up for. But man, it can be challenging sometimes. You have 4 or 5 clients in one day that are all having some problems and something's not great. It can be very demanding on you as a coach. And I had to learn to not absorb, just listen to some of the things going on. But I've been cursed with a big heart and I want to help everybody, right? So like I'll go to dinner that night with my wife and I'll say, this is going on with this client and I'm struggling with it or whatever. But I think that helps me become a good coach or be a great coach. The other thing I learned is to scale this business, I need to do group coaching as well. To have the impact on people like I want, I need to do group coaching at a high level. So that's why I created the Time Is Now community. And we have a new community that's rolling out the day, actually tomorrow on August 30th, called the Undefeated Morning Collective. It's a free community. Anybody's going to be able to come be a member of that, learn more about Chris Welton Coaching. Lots of free tactics and stuff inside that group. Then if they want to sign up for the group, they can do it from there. But I wanted to have an impact on more people. I wanted to be more available to people on that level. Look, the one-on-one coaching platform is great. I do enjoy it and I'll continue to do it, but there's only so many hours in a day. See, I provide a service for my clients that are one-on-one clients where I'm on call. Something I learned from one of my coaches. So sometimes I have to take 2 or 3 calls during the day that are not scheduled to help my clients out. But the most valuable lesson I've learned so far from leaving my job last year to now is I now have the availability to put my family first every single day. And I have become a good coach. I've put in the work. I'll continue putting in the work to try to be a great coach. I want to be the number one performance coach in the world. The other thing is I continue to learn every day. Like there's something every day, something different, something coming at me, the challenges that I want to take on to become the number one performance coach in the world. But nothing's more fulfilling in the workspace when I get off a coaching call and I go, you know what? I made an impact on that individual today. I helped change the way that person thought about what was going on. We figured out something good and we went in that right direction. That's what it's about for me. That's why I like to coach. I want to change people's lives. I want to help people get through whatever it is they're working on to get where they want to go. A good coach can change your life. Good coaches have changed my life. A bad coach can change your life as well. So be careful on who you have coach, who you listen to. I had a problem for a while listening to too many things, too many podcasts, too many this, too many that. And I've really narrowed that down quite a bit. Some of the people I really looked up to, I thought that I wanted to be like, I no longer even listen to. I've learned more about them in that space and they're just not the fit for me, right? I had one of my coaches recently tell me, Chris, be you. And I didn't know what he meant by that. He said, I look at your social media and a lot of times I feel like you're trying to be somebody else. Be Chris. So I can tell you as a year into this, you're going to see more Chris. You're going to see more of who Chris Welton really is, more content from Chris Welton, more podcasts from Chris Welton, more opportunities on stage, and more stories about the things we went through to get where we're at. Look, if you're listening to this podcast, your first time or any other episodes you've listened to, I appreciate you. I thank you so much. The podcast has been up for 53 or 54 episodes now, which is, from what I understand, like 99% of podcasts don't go past episode 2, I believe. So we made it there. And we're on our way to several hundred episodes, going to keep going. But remember, the strongest thing you can do is believe in somebody else. The transfer of belief is a powerful thing. I have a wife who believes in me, is my number one fan. And I hope you have somebody in your corner in the same that'll help you. When you want to dream, you want to do something big, when you want to go after it, somebody who believes in you and has faith in you too. Thanks for tuning into the One Hand at a Time podcast. I'm your host, Chris Welton, and there's more to come. Thank you for tuning into the One Hand at a Time podcast. Please make sure you like and share the episode, and we'll see you next time here at the One Hand at a Time podcast. Make it a great day.